when I was 6 or 7 years old. When I was walking by the living room and saw my parents watching a Western on TV. There was a guy who was about to be hanged. The movie dramatized this scene and the ambience made it dreadful. As a child I was curious and thought about how scary it would be to be in such a situation. Moved on and went outside to the front of the house. There was a large tree where my cousins and I would play. It had a rope tied to it with a noose. I believe we used it to swing by putting our feet in it, but not too sure. It was a small thin colored rope my grandpa collected from sacks of feed. I found a 5-gallon paint bucket. I put it next to the tree and swung the rope to a higher branch. At this point, curiosity had gotten the better of me, and I wanted to feel the dread that having a rope around your neck and being close to death would cause. I never actually planned on killing myself. I just wanted the sensation, and then I would stop. After I stood on the bucket, I realized the rope was too high for me to put my neck in. So I looked around and found a small paint can. I put it on top of the gallon bucket and stepped on it. It was just high enough for me to get my neck inside the noose. Although as I stepped on the small paint can, I noticed that it was shaky and unstable. I had a moment in which I reconsidered if it was too dangerous. But I figured that I could quickly put my neck in and out before anything happened and I would be fine. So I did. When I put the noose around my neck, I quickly became disappointed. There was no feeling of dread or fear. Nothing. I felt the same as I felt without a noose around my neck, so I began to take the rope off my neck when I felt the can tip over. There was no time to think at that point. It seemed like my body was acting on its own. My hands tried to grab the rope around my neck, but could not grab on to anything as the rope was too thin anyways. My feet on their tiptoes barely managed to touch the can, which was no on its side. But I could not press on it as the can moved back and forth. I could not find position to stand on it. All of this is automatic. I'm not making any conscious decision. After a couple of seconds, I began to realize that I was going to die. And began to feel scared and panicked. But then I kinda just accepted the situation and accepted death. Everything began to turn black and the situation I was in wasn't there anymore. It's like it didn't matter. I remember thinking it was so stupid that I was going to die in this way. That me at such a young age died in such a stupid way. Thinking about it, this thought was weird and that I can't imagine me as a child thinking in such a way. As I truly accepted death and everything was black, I could only retain a sense of feeling. I felt warmth, love and peace. There was something that was emanated that. I remember thinking death is not that bad. I didn't feel pain or anything from my body as it was probably still hanging. Then I felt the can shoot itself upright. Like if a precise force changed its position firmly and instantly. I didn't have much time to think as I came back. I quickly took off the noose and got off. As I got off, a car slowed down with the man inside looking at me. I was at this point very ashamed at what a stupid thing I had done, so I hoped he didn't see anything and ran inside the house. I didn't tell this event to anyone for about 15 years. I was so ashamed that I could do something so stupid that I didn't want anyone to know. As a kid, I remember my parents talking about everyone having their own guardian angel. So I imagined it made more sense that an angel saved me than that my feet, while I was in that blackout state, managed to flip the cans with such a force and precision. When I could barely touch it with my tiptoes while I was conscious. Anyways, feel free to ask any questions or even criticize the story as fake or whatever. It won't bother me.